fundamental human rights and according equal respect to all people. As you know, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we have been treated like criminals. We flash mobbed and we came out of the bushes. We knew our rights, and it took last weekend in London for the police and the government to finally realise this.
We did make an attempt to get to London, and it was a valiant attempt, I must admit, but the siege of Hillingate then took place. Or Hillingdon, beg your pardon, correction. We were originally stopped at Fleet. We had 2 coaches going up. We were stopped at Fleet and intimidated for over an hour at that point. We were then allowed to continue on our journey with the proviso: we either go back to London, or we go back to Bournemouth, or we go on to London. If we choose to go back to Bournemouth, there would be no consequences for our actions. If we went to London, we would face the Met, and that was a threat that was dished out to us in the first place. So we were automatically being coerced from the moment we had contact with the police at Fleet.
The police finally pulled us off at Uxbridge into Hillingdon, and we were greeted by... Yay! We were greeted by over 100 officers, PCSOs and constables.
Bearing in mind there was only 1 coach and about 40 people at this point.
We were told that we couldn't proceed into London. We told them, under the Human Rights Act 1998, Part 10 and 11, that we had the right to freedom of speech and the freedom of assembly, and they chose to ignore that. When asked their oath, they ignored us. They turned the other cheek and decided that day they were not going to be impartial, that they were going to defend the government.
When we stand here at our meetings in the past and we've thanked them for everything they've done, that thanks has not come from me, it never has. I don't trust them, and I never will. They are trained in tactics as such that will get you to believe they are on your side. They are not. They never will be under these circumstances. And when you have got an officer of the Metropolitan Police standing there telling you he is a chief inspector, when he isn't, he's just an inspector, the first words out of his gob were an outright lie.
These are the people that we are supposed to trust to uphold the law. The law, the Human Rights Act 1998, Part 10, freedom of expression. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to uphold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers. Part 11. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and to freedom of association with others. No restrictions shall be placed on the exercise of these rights, other than such as prescribed by law and are necessary. This law supersedes everything. Coronavirus legislation is secondary legislation. This is primary, and it supersedes everything. You need to stand your ground, and if they continue to arrest and harass you after this point, you will have your day in court. Nothing supersedes the Human Rights Act 1998. Each and every one of us, bar 5, are taking a class action against the Metropolitan Police. I'd like to introduce now Richard, whose girlfriend was assaulted by the Metropolitan Police.
Not their freedom!
So where do I begin? Last week was something else. Never in my life have I witnessed what was done to us. We started with 2 coaches, we were infiltrated at Fleet. For those that return to Bournemouth, I respect your choice. For those that continue to proceed to London, I have one word for you: unity. We stuck together and we knew we could be facing the consequences. To those that were detained for refusing their details, Dorina, John, Caroline, Gavin, Joseph and Darren, you are all legends for sticking to your guns and not giving in to your details. There are at least 3 people that were arrested that I haven't mentioned. Brian and Jill, at 72. and 74. I'm not quite sure what to say other than thank you. You turn in week out and week in and week out. So let's all give it up to Brian and Jill for a moment, please, ladies and gentlemen. Which brings us down to the last person, Amelia Chamberlain. I could not perceive what happened to her last weekend. She only began to protest because of my influence. The brutality from the police, in addition to her unlawful arrest, was unbelievable. However, I support both personally and publicly on the social media all the support you have brought us. Amelia and myself have been in tears of gratefulness over this last week. We are overwhelmed. She's unable to comment until her court date, but I believe she has become a foot soldier beside us. As I said on Facebook, our protesters have become family, and the marches have become our home. Amelia is so grateful for everybody's support. Her court date is on the 31st of the 12th at Uxbridge Courthouse. We are holding a seated peaceful protest outside at midday for anybody that wishes to join. This is not just for her justice, but for the justice of everybody that has sacrificed themselves through this war. As you can see, some of us are wearing hoodies like myself. Anyone wishing to purchase, please get in contact with Sam or myself and we can arrange you to get these hoodies. Let's keep uniting, let's keep fighting, and until next time, let's show the government that they can shove their new world order up their arse.
Right, Caroline, are you ready, babe?